More now on what is expected to be the most watched event in this U.S. presidential election campaign. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are expected to have had an audience in the tens of millions. But the crucial audience for both candidates is far smaller. It's the voters who still haven't made up their minds in a handful of battleground states. As you would expect, ballot box issues like the economy, immigration, and abortion rights were key issues in the debate last night. And someone who is listening, not just watching, but listening keenly, is our next guest. You're certainly going to know her, longtime journalist at CBC. As it happens, of course, the host of that wonderful radio program, Carol Off, is an author, and she has a book out, it's very timely, called At a Loss for Words, Conversation in the Age of Rage. And Carol's with me this morning, and I couldn't be happier to welcome you. Hi.
Heather.
So I want people to understand this book, how words are being used to define civil society and social justice, and how words are either losing their meaning or their meaning is being distorted. That's the premise for this, as I say, incredibly timely book, because you focus on 6 words: freedom, democracy, truth, woke, choice, and taxes, some of which came up in the debate last night. So I thought, Carol, listen and come in and talk to me. What did you think overall as you listened to the language of the debate last night?
Well, one way or another, all those words were sort of coded into the discussion. And what I've noticed about language is that it's not usually truthful anymore, especially when it comes to Donald Trump. It's emotional. And so and also, I'm hearing Kamala Harris figuring that out too, that words, language is emotional, you push buttons, you make people feel things. And so I was listening very carefully to hear the subtext of the conversation last night.
So we're going to focus on 3 of the words that you indeed focus on in your book. The first is freedom, and she references that in terms of reproductive freedom. This is what happened in the debate last night.
Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
What did you hear last night about freedom on the debate stage and in the campaign as well?
The word freedom is absolutely the most interesting thing as language over the takeover of Kamala Harris of the Democratic nomination, that she has taken that word back. This is a word, freedom belongs to conservatives, Republicans. This is the to live free or die kind of idea. But now she has taken it and points out that it's the Republicans who are saying we're going to limit your freedom and decide when and the spacing and timing of your children. She also refers to freedom in the economy. She's saying we want to give you freedom to live well, to free from want, freedom from fear. And so they own that language now. They own the word freedom. And that used to be the word. You never hear Donald Trump mention freedom. It's all on the side of the Democrats.
You did hear him mention democracy, another of your key words last night, and he did so in referencing that summer assassination attempt. He referenced democracy in this comment.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
we do have a lot
that went nowhere.
The threat to democracy. What did you hear in that exchange?
It was mostly gobbledygook, but what he's saying in that is because he says, you're saying I'm the threat to democracy, you have weaponized the word democracy. These are amazingly important phrases that he's throwing out there, because he is a threat to democracy. He mentions in the debate his admiration for Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, a man who took a lively, vibrant democracy and turned it into a quasi-dictatorship. He admires that. And she throws back. You admire these strong men. You do not want democracy. You do not like it. And in fact, he's speaking to his followers who have made it clear that they feel that democracy is a kind of dated thing, that democracy gives the vote to too many of the wrong people, and that they don't have a particular affection for democracy anymore.
Another word, the third and final one I'd like to hear a clip of, in terms of what you thought of it, was taxes. Lots of talk about tariffs and taxes. And then I want to hear what you're thinking in terms of what the word taxes now has come to mean. So this is how it featured in the debate last night.
His plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries.
So taxes, loaded, fraught right now, Carol.
That's one of my words, oddly enough. But it's because taxes is the price we pay to live in a civil society. And so if we eliminate taxes, which is one of the proposals of Donald Trump for a lot of people, we end up with this huge separation between rich and poor people, which is already extreme in the United States, and it's growing in Canada. But what's so interesting, when he answered that question, he didn't talk about the tariffs, which he can't really defend. He turns it into this immigration rant, right? When he starts talking about how he's up to now 20 million immigrants are in the country. They're criminals, they're drug dealers, they're from insane asylums, and they're voting, and they are destroying America. They're doing all these horrible things because what he's doing there is to speak to his base, which is feeling this emotional hatred of the other. He tries to otherize people, and say that there are these shadowy forces, and I'm going to defend you against them. He codes this language. It's very clever how he speaks to his base.
So you heard that last night. We're into now less than 2 months of campaigning left to go. What will you be listening to as far as the language of this campaign in the days to come, and what is concerning for you in the kind of language that you're hearing?
I think people shouldn't dismiss what Donald Trump did last night as being effective for his base. I mean, this is like that Kamala Harris won. She nailed it. She put him down. They're not listening for his facts. They don't care what they know. What he says may or may not be true. It doesn't matter. It's how he makes them feel that matters. How he speaks to their rage, their anger, their insecurity, their uncertainty. He speaks to that in these coded languages about these shadowy forces that he's going to defend them from. And he's all these things when he talks about how the immigrants are eating people's pets in Ohio, which sounds bonkers. But I've heard that in Trump rallies. People are saying, did you hear that this is happening? He says they're executing their babies after they're born. I've heard people in those rallies talk about that. That weird stuff actually resonates with his base, and that's really frightening.
Carol, come back anytime. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
And again, reminding the new book, At a Loss for Words, Conversation in the Age of Rage. Timely indeed. Carol Off, our guest this morning on CBC Morning Live.
Thank you.